Hi, welcome to this video of T-Man Cooks. In this video we're going to be making tilapia with a side of asparagus and carrots. Very simple, 5 minutes or less, easy prep. That's what we're all about. Now, for the first part, we're going to be using this olive oil, and we're going to be lightly just zigzagging it across the pan. Should look something like that. Now, all we're going to do is simply place the tilapia in the pan. Like so. Now we're going to add in the vegetables. And wherever they fit, it don't really matter. Strongly recommend not to go directly over the tilapia. That way it cooks a little bit. This is the way mine's set up right now. Yours might be different. It's fine. Now we're just going to simply shake on some salt. And I got a little bit kind of all over the place there. We are going to add in some lemon juice all across the whole thing. And I like mine really lemony. Now I have a Copper Chef pan. This whole thing can actually go into the oven directly. So I'm going to set my oven to broil and on high mode. And then I'm going to put it in the top rack. Let this go for about 15 to 20 minutes. And make sure to check it every now and then to make sure one part of it ain't getting burnt. And if it is, flip it around and you should get a good result. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be making brown sugar and honey breakfast sausages, imitated from the Johnsonville breakfast sausages, the brown sugar and honey. They're famous worldwide. They're really a good tasting breakfast option. So what we're going to start with is the ground pork. We're going to make a brine and then add the brine to the ground pork. So what you'll need for this recipe is 1.5 pounds of ground pork, 1/2 cup cornstarch, which we got right here, 1/4 cup of honey, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, tablespoon of salt, tablespoon of pepper, and tablespoon of paprika, and 1/2 cup of water. I actually wrote this recipe. It's a very, very, very simple recipe. You just throw some basic ingredients together and you're making a sausage out of it, essentially. Now we're going to start with the brine. I got a little brine maker right here. Put this on the stove top, get my water in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 1/2 cup water, the 1/4 cup honey, and the 1/4 cup brown sugar directly to that. I actually have about a 1/4 cup of honey left, so I'm just going to dump this whole thing in. And then the tablespoon of salt, tablespoon of pepper, and tablespoon of paprika. The dry seasonings are going to go into the meat because that's just a way of making sausage better. So let's get started. 1/2 cup water going in. The rest of the honey. Jeez. Honey's tough to open. There we go. The honey's gonna go in there. Now we need a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. And now this is also up to you, depending on your taste. If you really like brown sugar, you can make this brine as thick as you want it, essentially. Alright, so I got my brown sugar, my water, and my honey all in my brine right now. I'm going to put this on the stovetop on low and just let this hang out. We got our pork. I'm using 1.5 pounds Tyson farm fresh, supposedly, ground pork. The pork is in the bowl right now. Ain't that delicious? Pork. We're gonna add the 1/2 cup of cornstarch and the seasonings, and then 2. So 1/2 cup of cornstarch, so a tablespoon of salt, tablespoon of pepper, and a tablespoon of paprika. Oh yeah, it is open. Ooh. Might have been over a little bit, but that should be fine. Sausages are more forgiving than most recipes, so if you add in a little extra, you probably won't notice it much. When our brine is starting to break down, I gotta mix it a little bit. Your brine, you want it almost like a syrup consistency, but not quite. Like when you put syrup in the microwave and it starts to warm up a little bit, that's how you want it. Have some coffee in the morning. Nothing better. So that's the pork with the cornstarch and the flour and the seasonings and everything combined. And this is the brine of the brown sugar, honey, and water. Basically, I'm just gonna take this and knead it together. Combine everything essentially. Now this will get easier once we add in the liquid, but I like getting a head start on things in the kitchen. And I want you guys to stay tuned for the hollandaise sauce, because this is an awesome recipe. You can make it for breakfast, super easy. Just stay tuned. I swear to gosh, this video is going to be really good. The important part with the brine is make sure you let it cool down before adding it back into the pork. Otherwise, your pork will cook using the boiling brine. It's another big step. Some people forget it, and then all of a sudden they're working with a bunch of cooked pork, and you don't want to do that. Alright, so my rule of thumb is when it won't burn your hand, it won't burn the meat. So I'm going to add this brine directly in here like this. You can see how crazy liquidy it is. Well, it's not going to be like that for long, because the cornstarch is going to absorb a lot of it, and also the meat's going to absorb a lot of it. So you basically are going to do this, and then you're going to drain what's left. If there's any liquid left at the bottom, you're just going to drain it right out. But what this does is it makes it so the sausage is easily rolled into whatever you want it rolled into. There's a couple ways to do this. Now, we could just take this and individually craft a bunch of sausages, or we could use something that can cut, layer this all so it's one thickness into like a pan, and do it that way. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to layer it into a pan, and then at the end, or before we start cooking it, we're going to cut the indentations for all the sausages. So they're gonna be like really flat, but they're gonna be still sausages. Here's a tip in the kitchen. If you don't have any cooking spray, you can use olive oil or vegetable oil and then use a paper towel to spread it across your pan. I do it all the time, it works the same. Another tip, if it's sticking to your hand like that, take a little bit of oil and dump a little bit of oil on your hand. And you can also spread it on the food itself, because it's going to cook off a little bit. I mean, it's still going to be a really oily meat, but I mean, it's breakfast food. What do you expect watching a breakfast food video? We got a big even chunk of sausage. So what I'm going to do is before I even cook this, I'm going to preheat the oven to 325. And then I'm going to take a pizza cutter and cut these into little strips. Like after it cooks, I'll still have to pull apart the sausages and whatnot, but so this is how I scored it. It's pretty even all the way across, right? Now I'm going to cut these into little smaller sausages. So but look at all those sausages. We got a ton of them. 325 for 15 to 20 minutes. So I got some cool gifts for Christmas this year. One of them was a Santa drinking hat that I'm gonna wear at Christmas. It's gonna be freaking hilarious. I also got a portable campfire, and I'm gonna try to cook off this thing for a video. Like, I'll go ice fishing or something and try to cook with this thing on the lake. I think that'd be interesting content for you guys. And I'm like, every once in a while I'll make some extra videos. Like, it's not gonna be all these episodic type things, but I want to make an episodic video. Just why not? And it's Christmas in 2 days, so I was like, you know what? Let's make some Christmas themed content. And these are my Christmas presents. I also got this antique Joker that I'm going to put up in my editing room. And I got a bowl with, you're supposed to fill it up with candy for like Halloween or whatever. But my mom and sister insisted on getting me Army Men. Because when I was a kid, they used to chuck my Army Men out the window when I was being naughty out of their car. Just chuck them out. Gone. But anyway, I got a bunch of Army Men too. So I might actually go play with those after this video is over. It's early in the morning. Like, I started recording at about 6:30ish. So I'm hungry. Ooh. Voila. It's very, very greasy. But that's cooked sausage right there. I'm going to cut this up later off camera and bag it. But you basically just clean your cutter and redo the lines that you made before. And you just follow the lines again, and boom, you got a bunch of sausages. Pretty easy. So, but I'm going to do that later, and we're going to start working on the hollandaise sauce, and then have a topper, which will be this thing, or these sausages, I'm going to actually use in a different dish coming up. But we're going to do the hollandaise sauce recipe first. First things first, I have to separate the yolk from the egg part of it. So I'm going to crack them in this bowl, and then I'm going to take a spoon and separate the yolk from the egg white, and then I'm going to put the egg yolks in this clear bowl so you guys can see. eggs. Uno. Dos. Tres. We got it. One down. Ah, it broke. But we got it in there in time, thankfully. Alright. That's good. Alright, we're adding the lemon juice in. I'm going to add a little bit extra. In there, we're also going to add 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I don't have Dijon mustard right now, so I'm just going to substitute a little bit of mustard in there. I'm going to do 2 squirts of mustard, maybe like a 1/4 teaspoon, and then salt is 1/4 of a teaspoon, so just a pinch of salt. Probably that much. Cayenne pepper, just a pinch of that too. So I don't have cayenne pepper either, believe it or not. So I'm just going to use paprika. So just a little bit of paprika. Just a pinch, it says. And then I can blend all this together. So I like my hollandaise sauce a little bit sweet. So this is my secret ingredient. I add just a little bit of honey. And that's why I was saving the honey from the last part of this. I just barely add any, like 1 little squeeze, probably quarter teaspoon, and I also mix that into the mixture. That looks about right. So it's basically just egg yolk right now. Microwave a whole chunk of butter, and I like to do it till it's boiling. And basically what we're going to do is transfer the boiled butter into this jar, whisking like nobody's business. But I gotta get the bowl for that. So I'm gonna microwave this for 2 minutes and get that butter real hot. Real hot. And I did chop the sausages, as you guys probably saw in the interlude part of this video. Those sausages are all chopped up, they're all ready to go. And the purpose of all this is going to link together to make one big dish. And like when that comes out of there, I got to be having that in here. Like boom, whisk as fast as I can. Like you're going to see how fast this process is going to go. I'm not going to do it like bring the camera and try to hold the camera and do it, just because I want to get this right. Alright, you guys ready? Boiling butter. So you basically are whisking like crazy. Woo, that's hot. As a final step, you add in a little bit of lemon juice. Now it's time to put it all together. Medium saucepan, we're going to add in some butter. Pan nice and buttery, add in your bread, cut a square in the bread, and drop an egg into each one of them. Currently it should look like this. And take some of that sausage and add it to it. You can either tear it up or whatever you want to do with it. This is how they should look now. Alright, Attempt number 2. Got it. That is a tricky flip. The flip is done. And this is how it's served. How eggs benedict, or how it's gonna get served. Now this sauce got a little thicker on me. But you go ahead and drizzle as much of that sauce on as you want.